Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from
your company name here.
Studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? It's Tuesday, the day after Halloween, the day your kids drive all their teachers nuts, the day that if you're like me, you go out and buy candy afterwards because it's on sale. The day where you fight with T-Mobile, but that's another conversation for a little bit after now. But joining us across the wonderful, vast, wide country that is known these United States of America. Joining us from across the strip, down the street, across from the 7-Eleven where the guy from the one show bumps his radio in the middle of the fucking morning.
Not anymore.
Gordon Abernathy. Get rid of him, did you?
I think so.
Did he stop going there, or did he just turn his bumps in the trunk down?
I do not know. I hear, because it is an intersection, I do hear bumping from time to time, but it's not at 20 minutes at a time anymore.
And the man who puts the bump in my trunk, he provided me the subwoofer. Now I just need an amp. Mike, no use for a last name. Mike, how you doing, fella?
Wonderful, fella. How's it going this evening?
Things were good until...
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so we're just going to get this right out of the way because Mike has some stuff, Gordon has some stuff, and I don't want to take up all the time, so let's just get to the point, Cedar Point.
And now for the What's in Your Head podcast TikTok lesson of the week.
T-Mobile, I love you so much. We've only had a relationship for 15, 16 years now. Boy, have I watched your customer service fall through the floor over the last 16 years. Anyhow, my daughter wanted a phone, so I took her to T-Mobile to get one because hers broken. Well, she needs a phone. Now, due to supply chain issues, her phone was on back order, so they drop-shipped one to my house. Now, we got the phone, and, well, she didn't like the phone, which I can understand. After all, it is an Apple product. So we went back to the store to return it. And the guy couldn't help me return it because it was drop-shipped to my house, even though I bought it at the store and paid $40 for the convenience. That's right. If you buy a phone in the T-Mobile store, they charge you $40 for the convenience. So now I find myself standing in the lobby of a T-Mobile with a phone that I'm trying to return it. We just got drop shipped in like the last hour, while standing on my phone talking to T-Mobile because they won't do the return in the store. So after 18 minutes of standing inside of a T-Mobile with a phone in my hand, I want to return while talking to T-Mobile on the phone so I can return the phone that was in my hand that I had while standing in their store, I finally got a refund for the phone. And $14 out of the $40 that I paid for the service. Customer service, that is. So now I have a quandary. I got a shipping label coming to my house because I got to return the phone that I have in my hand while standing in the lobby while talking to T-Mobile that I need to return to T-Mobile. So I got to drive it back home, put the shipping label on it, and mail it back to T-Mobile even though I'm standing in T-Mobile with it in my hand. So now the question is, do I buy another phone from them and pay another $40 for service for helping me while annoying them while standing in their lobby, or go home and order online for free? Well, as you can see, I'm in my car, so free phone, here we come. Yeah. $40 cover charge. You gotta pay
for the goddamn phone, though, right?
$40 cover charge. No, that's $40 on top of the taxes for the phone.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, on top of the cost of the phone plus the tax, everything else.
So for those of you playing along at home, you want a new phone, maybe yours is paid off. If you go down to the local T-Mobile store and look at their phones and order one, even if it's not in shop and they drop ship one to your house, there's a $40 cover for the convenience.
Now, when you go from the third or fourth largest cell phone carrier to the second largest, arguably the first in the country, well, you lose a little of that special sauce, so to speak.
Or do you? Do you?
Well,
the company
you're
does,
overly
absolutely.
nice to your customers, you're out of business.
Yeah, but when you nickel and dime them, you just paid
Pennies
$40. You just paid $40 yesterday or 2 days ago. You want to return the phone.
Yep.
We're going to charge.
Where are you going to go?
We're going to charge you.
Where are you going to go?
You're going to go home and do it on the website.
That's fine. Yeah.
And
But where are you going to go? You going to go to another cell phone carrier? You're probably just as bad, if not worse. Yeah.
And so you go home.
So basically, they charge you $40 a process it there at the store, so you can pay their labor.
But when you come back to the store where you paid the $40, they can't help you.
I don't know what to do.
You're on your own.
Yeah. What do you do?
And so you call and you
Mhm.
complain and nothing happens. And you call
course.
and you complain and nothing happens. So then you call to find out, well, how much if I take the kid's phone line off my plan and send her across the street? Turns out when you have a 14-year-old plan, you have a little bit of clout. And you're also grandfathered in, if you will. 3 phone lines on one plan, unlimited data. Or so they say. They just throttle you down when you go over. Plus the $20 for one of the phones on the plan. I think we're paying about $275 a month. So I said, hey.
Not a bad deal.
Carrie's like, well, why don't we just put her on my plan? I said, well, you're going to pay for the phone every month, and you're going to pay $80 to $90 to add a phone to your plan. Well, if it's that much in your T-Mobile plan, I said, that's a true point. So I called it T-Mobile. Excuse me, T-Mobile, if I were to remove this line from my account, how much money would I save a month? Gordon?
Probably $9.
25 buckaroos. So it would not be worth it to save $25 a month and send Sariana across the street to add $80 to Carrie's plan plus the price of the phone. However, they did inform me because our plan is so old and the name of the person is so old, we are now eligible for a $35 a month discount for senior citizens. So got that going for us.
Do have a question.
Hold on, I'm not done, but go ahead. Which question?
Just one I thought about. This is for the girl.
Uh-huh.
Is the girl getting an allowance at all every week?
No.
Okay.
And by the way, the iPhone...
Because I'd say next exploded phone is coming out of the allowance.
Well, the iPhone I bought, the reason she didn't like it is called the iPhone SE. And apparently SE stands for small edition. Because an iPhone is, a lifestyle brand, and they're all overpriced and overinflated. And you say, well, Don, there's Galaxies that are worth the same amount. And yes, there are, but they also have Android phones for poor fucking people that you can get for $400. It costs $20 or $13 a month on your plan. A $900 iPhone costs you $50 a month on top of that data plan. But, being a lifestyle brand, you want to reach out to everybody in all demographics. So we're going to say an iPhone is going to be incredibly fucking small for $400.
This is my first iPhone.
Not my iPhone. No, I didn't buy the fucking thing.
No. That's what the brand.
Oh, yeah.
That's the marketing.
And they're like, well,
the tiny tyke iPhone.
We're like, well, we can get you in the iPhone 14. I'm not paying $50 a month for a kid who breaks cell phones every 4 months. Not going to happen.
Actually, you got a flip phone?
Yeah, right. So, anywho, people say, well, why bother putting shit on TikTok?
Yeah, it's all just Chinese.
Why embarrass yourself? Nobody wants to hear that. Why spend, I don't know, the first 10 minutes and 50 seconds on your podcast talking about it? Well, see, friends.
It's for validation.
After I discovered it was going to save me a whopping $25, I went ahead and bought her a phone. Got her new Android phone. And see, something funny happened while I was sitting in the podcast studio doing show prep while sitting on hold with T-Mobile to order a phone. There's a little delay that came that required me to leave my room to get a credit card. Now, I'm a man of multitasking because, well, that's the way my life is. So why not utilize the time, Gordon, which it takes to walk from point A to point B? And so as my phone was on speaker, I accidentally hit the play button on my keyboard as I walked out the room. Because I just so happened recorded that TikTok for this very show. Whoopsie. Come back. Oh, sorry, ma'am. Turn that down. I was just recording a TikTok for my podcast tonight, to which she said, now I've already talked to 2 people at 2 different stores and 2 phone people. Nobody can help. Go fuck yourself, sir. Oh, sorry about that.
Tells me you got escalated to the exclamation.
Sorry about that, ma'am. I was just doing a little show prep for a podcast I'm doing tonight where I'm going to talk crap about you guys. So you had a bad experience? Oh, well, let me just play it for you. Hit play that same clip. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We've heard tale about this bad customer service at our storefronts, and not much we can do about it. But let's just go ahead and get that phone. Okay, today there's no money down, but you got to pay the taxes and the service fees. That's $60. But look at the bright side. You're not paying the $40 for being at the shop. When I bought the iPhone, it was $60 plus $40 for the cover charge to walk into the bougie.
And they couldn't even justify it, could they?
The bougie restaurant. This is like a country club now. So when you go into T-Mobile, you pay the price of your phone plus the $40 cover charge for having the right to walk in their front door. But here's what I'm going to do, sir. Because you had such a bad experience, because you've had a plan with us for 14 fucking years, I'm going to take that $60 you just paid in taxes and remove it for next month's plan. So the answer to your question, friend, is why I go out of the way to make TikToks and complain. Because corporations don't like public nastiness. And it got me $60 back when it was all said and done. And the thing already got 500 views in an hour and a half. So who knows? Maybe 5 days from now, I'll earn 83 fucking cents. But anyhow, you know what the great thing about that is? So before this whole debacle, when we went to the store to buy said phone, when they charged me the cover charge to come in there, we were looking at a different Android, roughly same price point. And I said, do you have the Android in stock? And you know what the sales lady, the first thing she did? Get in your sales mode. Think upsell, Gordon. Somebody asks you, hey, do you have the
why
phone
would you
in
want
stock?
that when we got the next model up for just $25 more a month?
No. You see, you're right, but no. Mike, do you know what's wrong with that answer? You ever worked sales?
Not
I work
much,
sales,
no.
but I'm not that kind of sales.
Not really.
For those of you who worked electronic retail sales, cell phones are what you call low margin product. But you're almost right, Gordon. When I asked her if she had that in stock, she walked right over to the phone case wall and started staring. And I thought, maybe she misunderstood. Maybe she thought I was asking for a case for that Samsung Galaxy S33,433-A because it's the cheaper
She's going
one.
through her programming code.
No, I said, I'm sorry. I was just wondering if you had that stuff. No, I was just seeing if there's we have cases for that. I said, I buy my cases on Amazon. There won't be any upsells.
I know that's a bad word around
No,
here.
so her whole sales thing was before she went to tell me that phone was in stock, she wanted to make sure they high margin profits items because that's where they make their margin.
Those cases are crazy priced.
And now I used to sell electronics. That's why USB cables used to cost $30 because the stores paid $5 for them. Those are the margin items. They don't make money off computers. When they sell an Xbox 360, the store literally makes $3.38. That's why the controllers are $90 fucking dollars. That's where they make their money. Back when they actually sold Xboxes in stores.
It's all about the accessories.
You can't find them in stores anymore.
And I would agree, fine, sell me the phone case, but not after you charge me a $40 cover charge to walk in this motherfucker. Your margin's already been taken care of.
Well, now that's just for the drop ship, though, right?
No, the $40 is if you walk in there and buy a phone, and whether they go back there and get it out of their closet because it's a.
Are they a
That's
non-corporate but franchise store?
That is a good question because tonight when I started my return, I went to a store closer to my house in which the lady told the girl there, well, the store he went to is the corporate store, so we can't see any of their stuff. So I went down there to see if they can get me a shipping label because I want to see, well, maybe if I go to the exact store, they'll waive the $40 fee. It's $40, but fuck you. You already
I get phones from T-Mobile every couple of years. I've never had that happen.
We got to look at the paperwork you're signing. It's the.
Oh no, I don't have it.
They refer to it as a service, like in-store service, something or other. It's bullshit.
No, I've never seen that. We go through the paperwork pretty good. The only thing that really kind of threw me off is when the guy that I'm going to offend some people.
Hold on, should I get it ready?
Probably.
Do we want to go with A, B, or both?
TM.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. Welcome to the show. If you are easily offended, then you probably should go.
I was almost offended because the individual's name was on their name tag
I'm a manager.
with a he, him pronouns underneath. This pronoun thing's gotten stupid.
Well, to be fair to him, and I don't
And
know.
the they is plural, so now you're just fucking up the language.
To be fair to him, it may be a corporate thing. I've heard tale that some
But it's
corporations.
such a minute
I've heard people.
portion of the population that's pushing this.
I'm right there with you. Big corporation. Perfect example. How did the woke thing happen? Twitter. It's a minority group of people on Twitter. We've said it verbatim on here. I'm not going to beat over the head, but the reason that when you see media and politicians on TV, they always show their Twitter handles instead of their Instagram or their Facebook. Why? Because Twitter doesn't charge them to get the word out. Therefore, the media, special interest groups, and politicians need you to think Twitter is relevant. So all the woke shit comes from Twitter. We'll see what happens with Elon Musk on board. But anywho, so going back to my statement.
They're trying to roast him, aren't they?
Going back to my statement. All of a sudden, when the person who had the power on a T-Mobile speakerphone heard verbatim my TikTok, they refunded me $60, kind of hoping maybe I retract a little bit. Same thing. They don't care one-off, but they don't want the bad publicity. And so, yeah, they don't want people complaining. And so back to your point, the corporations jump on this shit. We don't want people to call us on Twitter, so let's go ahead and make sure all our employees include their pronouns on their name tags.
They're jumping on something that history will be very unkind to.
I agree.
It's insane.
Every time I hear the them, they, it reminds me of...
So you got multiple personalities? How many do you got up inside of your head?
It reminds me of like the 80s comedies. Remember the old cliche, what do you mean those people? What do you mean them people? So it's like, oh, so now you want to be those people. I don't know.
I was listening to Joe Rogan with, what's her name?
Tulsi Gabbard?
Bridget Fetsy. She's a journalist, comedian, former Instagram nudie model. And they were talking about this stuff. And I'm trying to remember the phrase she used, but basically it's a social disease.
Yep.
And she talked about how what it is, it'll be usually a group of and it's usually teenage girls, and it'll take just one to claim that they are now non-binary or they're something else, and then it'll be like a disease, and it'll go right through the rest of them.
And this would get us in trouble if we actually had the mainstream exposure. But when Gordon and I were in high school, the thing was, well, actually, when I was in middle school, Gordon was getting ready to get into high school. The thing was bulimia. Girls are sticking their fingers down their throat. They wanted to throw up, to be skinny, and the Family Ties episode and the fucking Different Strokes, and even Saved by the Bell.
Boss, probably.
They all had the very special episode. This week, Jenny has eaten diet pills, and they do a whole episode on sticking your finger down your throat, the rotting out of the teeth, and so that was the trendy thing for the young girls. Fast forward to Gordon's time in high school, my time in middle school, carried on to my high school because these things usually last about 10 years. It was, I'm bisexual. You see all the chicks making out with each other at the bar and experimenting in college.
Fine.
Yeah, we didn't have a problem with that. And so this is just the evolutionary thing. And I posted a TikTok that it's a screenshot of 1970s punk, 1980s big hair, 1990 goth chicks and goth dudes. And I said, every generation has them. We all have that fad, that lifestyle choice we're all going to die on the hill for. And a short 20, 30 years later, we look at the photos and say, God damn, I look ridiculous.
That was a retard.
Well, aren't you glad your fad didn't include permanent surgery?
Yeah. That's just it.
And we're seeing it.
The frontal cortex is not done fully developing until you're 25.
Can you imagine all the bad tattoos, piercings, and body modifications you would have if you actually had the money and when you're 17 and 18 that you do when you're 30 and 40?
Yeah, just go to the gas station now and look at the attendant working.
Where's all the dudes at? Remember, I'm sure there's still the diehards. Remember the body modification where people like putting ball bearings up underneath their skin?
Future primitive.
How many of those people we seen on TikTok now where their giant earlobes are slowly shrinking back? Because they were seeing kids in the early 2000s. They had fucking Coke cans in their ears, and their ears hung down to here. But now you're seeing them take it back, and now they're just the size of a thumb. They're growing back slowly.
Or they're getting them fixed.
Because those were all fads and trends. But
Well, I was told by a nephew of mine who's 20 years old that tattoos are for old people.
Sweet, I'm young. It finally came back to me. I'm the only one I know.
Except for that fucking beard of yours.
Well, that's going away this weekend, buddy. I got a World War II reenactment coming up.
So you're going to look like Wayne Newton with his slick black hair and an old face, huh?
Yeah.
He's younger than me,
so
I can pick on him.
I don't have the tan of Wayne Newton. But no, I can, in a good black and white photo from about 30 yards away, I can pull off like 32.
30 yards away, maybe some Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah, the right filters and uniform, little hair dye, shave the beard off.
Yeah, get a little Vaseline on the lens.
I can pull off 38. I was singing today, I was listening to... what's his name? Anyhow, he's a country singer I've really kind of liked.
Wheeler Walker Jr.?
No, I think he's overrated.
He's funny, though.
Yeah, I guess. I'm sure I'd enjoy him more like if I was 21, kind of like I did with all the raunchy comedians of the day.
Right.
But anyhow, what the fuck's his name? Anyhow, I was thinking today that it's kind of crazy that our globe and our timeline is literally made up of people who are just trying to hold on to the past. It's like
oh my God. And there are certain members of our family that'll post stuff from a year ago. And I'm like, there's like no relevance. It's just yet another picture you took a year ago.
Here's a picture of my leaf pile. Is there a kid in there? Nope, just a leaf
Here's
pile.
another picture of me from a year ago of me in my car.
Which, by the way, if I do a TikTok suggesting that people stop doing a video of a certain way, like, oh, I don't know, posting memes or photo slideshow, and that there is a platform for that called Facebook and our Instagram, just because it applies to you doesn't mean I was talking directly to you. Because as we know, TikTok is an echo chamber. And once I
feel guilty, feel like you're called out.
Once I like one of your slideshow, 3,000 of other people's slideshows show up on my fucking page, and I'm like, am I on Instagram or TikTok? So yes, I made a video. No, I wasn't talking directly to you, but as Gordon said, clearly it applied. So anyhow, how are you doing, Mike?
That was an indirect shot that landed squarely. You sunk my battleship.
How are you for doing, Mike?
My stomach's a little upset right now.
Why, you got poop?
You got an angry belly?
Yeah.
Got a dinosaur in your belly?
No, it's all that millennial
Spicy food?
It's all that millennial sadness that I've got pent up and building up in my body.
Oh.
You're hurting my feelings.
It's okay. You can let it out.
You were in the military. You get a good pass on that one.
Well, no, only 60% because he was a reservist. Oh!
Which is well, this is coming from a guy that's just a reenactor.
Exactly. So. Which, by the way,
it's coming from a guy who just went to mini boot camp in high school. So.
I make painstaking efforts to make sure people don't think I have real military service. So, but yeah, no, I was busting your balls. That's why I have Jeff.
He has FARB. Right. He has FARB printed across every fucking
far be it
photo.
For me.
Watermark.
Oh my God.
But anyhow, you got grumblies in your tumblies. It's all that
humiliated.
It's all that Cape Coral water. You got the creepy crud.
Oh.
How many times do you have to suit up in some biohazard type Tyvek suits lately after the hurricane?
That's a good story. They sent you down to Fort Myers Beach, and we haven't talked about it. So you out of everyone I know, one of the few that are being allowed on the island because you are in the service industry.
Yeah, it's called is that called the service industry?
Yeah, because he's providing a service.
Skilled trade industry.
Yeah, but kind of like during the pandemic, everything gets a generic terminology.
Yeah.
Just think though, if this was still a pandemic, you'd be called a hero. You could put on my hero.
I was called a hero.
Yeah, everybody's fucking called a hero. Wow, you got off your couch and went outside. So did everybody else. So did the garbage man. I didn't see Waste Pro.
I actually worked in the office.
I didn't see Waste Pro putting signs up in front of their fucking place saying heroes work here. Yeah, I'm talking to you nurses, but anywho.
Yeah, the beach. I mean, something.
How bad is it?
Something that, I was young when 9/11 happened. Very young. And, you guys probably remember it very well.
Oh, it was our Pearl Harbor.
I remember it well. I remember where I was and what I was doing, and, I was in class and whatnot, and, watching those videos on TV and seeing all that destruction and
what grade
chaos.
What grade were you in?
8th?
Third or fourth.
Third or fourth. Wow.
So that would be your equivalent of my Challenger.
Yes,
probably.
We both watched. I don't remember what school, but we had a TV in the cafeteria, and we were sitting on the floor.
We weren't even in school. We were down at the trailer on the hill. It was a snow day.
Are you sure? Because I could have sworn I was sitting in class.
I'm 100% sure, but you may have watched the reruns later.
No, why the hell would they show us a rerun in school? Are you sure?
I'm pretty darn sure, yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to check the weather on that date.
Yep.
Well, I mean, watching that as a little kid and
I was 27.
Experiencing that,
I was
watching
21.
What was it, like 3,000? What was it, 3,000 people, 4,000 people just die in an instant?
Yep.
Just gone. And
it's horrifying.
It's, to me, there's no equivalence, but I haven't seen that kind of destruction.
Damn, you're close. If we're playing the Exacto game, it was 2,996.
Yeah, I haven't seen the kind of destruction that I saw in Fort Myers Beach since 9/11. I mean, it's absolutely not to compare the two or put the two together in any way. They're different in their own ways, but
You're basing
I
off
mean,
of things
just
you've seen personally.
yes, and working down there and working for customers and stuff. I mean, I was in a 3-story house, what I like to refer to as a Florida basement, which is the first floor garage. Um, Completely blown out, the walls, everything, just absolutely destroyed. Pipes, um, everything was just blown from the back of the house to the front of the house. There was debris everywhere. I was looking at a sewer clean out. There was an air conditioning condenser wrapped around the sewer clean out. I mean, I saw the thing that because I was born and raised in this area, and growing up on the beach and going there and being raised on the water and stuff like that. The thing that really kind of got me was I saw 2 swimming pools. One just by itself, nothing left. An in-ground swimming pool on the beach by itself with nothing around it.
Yeah, where they pop out of the ground.
Yeah. Well, no, this one was actually still in the ground. The other one completely popped out of the ground and was dislocated and put somewhere else. Like I probably across the street or something like that. But I mean, just and looking at the cars, the vehicles, the debris, everything like that was just completely and totally, like, you can, they're saying hundreds of people, and you think of how fortunate you are, and you think of what those people had to endure, while they were on the island during that storm.
The tide is so high that last week the police marine force, if you will, were going around and putting buoys on cars that were under the water floating around Fort Myers Beach so boats wouldn't hit them.
Yep.
It's something like that, and it's especially I haven't experienced it personally, but I've always basically had a saying that as much damage as we do, as powerful as we think we are truly small, and at the end of the day, Mother Nature will wipe us out. We have no power compared to that of what this earth generates.
The world is the most powerful force that I
Do you
can think of.
Think that we were kind of lucky during 9/11 in a way that we were at such a young, cynical age that it didn't have the emotional impact on us that it would have if we were 40 at the time?
Well, and not only that, but I think our location and being, I mean, you guys were in Kentucky or
I was in Ohio
at that point.
Columbus.
But I was building ambulances, and 9 of the trucks were destroyed were ours, and we had people up there. But no, the reason I say that is because when you're 20, especially as a dude, you're in your 20s, you're just full of testosterone, the world revolves around you. It's like, yeah, that sucks. You shed a tear, but now you're in your 40s, you have kids, you actually have a appreciation for fucking life, for family, for property. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I think it was about 5 days after the storm. I was driving to work, and I was looking at Cape Coral, and I've lived out here longer than I've lived anywhere in my life. And dude, I started fucking crying. I was like, this sucks. This town that's been so good to me has just got its fucking dick kicked in. I mean, I wasn't bawling uncontrollably like Tammy Faye Baker, for those of you who remember the Saturday Night Live references.
You got a little misty.
I fucking had tears rolling. I was like, this fucking sucks, man. These people got their shit kicked in hard.
That's how I felt when I was. I mean, it took me about 45 minutes to get on the island and about an hour to get off.
I know you're probably half tempted to say, fuck it, I'm going to Bonita and taking 75 back.
To be honest with you, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I need to see what's on the other side. Yeah. Because, you've got both things coming at you, and you're watching one way for, 10 minutes, and then you're watching the other way for 10 minutes.
Well, the reason I say that is even during a good time of year, the traffic going back towards Fort Myers is so much slower than if you drive down to Bonita and then hop on 75. You know, you just drove 45.
Yeah.
I'm all about perpetual movement. If I got to drive an extra 10 miles, so be it. If I can have perpetual movement and not stand stationary for fucking 20 minutes, pulling my hair out, I'll waste the gas and fucking burn down my tires. Let's get moving.
Yeah.
From a commercial property aspect, would I be correct in assuming that Margaritaville will probably actually be the first thing up and running?
No, the cockroach that is the Alani Kai will be the first.
Alani Kai will be the first fucking thing that opens back up.
Well, it looked like it was pretty stripped out on the bottom floor. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, but
the bottom floor, yes.
The bottom floor was nothing but a bar, a tattoo parlor, and a dance floor and a DJ booth. And 2 bars.
Nasty ass bathrooms.
I was going to say 2 bars.
Oh, I've been in those bathrooms. I've definitely seen the people
that was basically
frequent the Alani Kai too.
The bottom floor of the Alani Kai is like any public parks concession stand with a dance floor and a DJ booth. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Everything was.
You're saying it's basically like an Ohio State campus bar from the 90s?
Basically, it was designed for flooding because all the real stuff took place upstairs. I mean, the shop that sold the $3 fucking sundresses probably got washed away. But as far as damage goes, I'm sure they probably saw maybe 2 feet of water inside the lobby on the second floor, but the second floor is high enough that I'm sure that they got minimum at least
like
water
the restaurant
damage.
on the roof took a beating too.
Yeah, I'm sure. But
It did. I was looking up when I was going off the island. I was looking up at the lake. I actually was driving right by it, and I mean, you know, there was just shit blown all over the place.
So
up
Lani
there,
Kai is the equivalent of Circus for us.
John Kraft just said on Facebook, the Alani Kai will never die.
They literally should have that as a slogan once they're up and running again. Painted right on there.
Excuse me, sir. I represent the people who represent the Goonies, and we have to hit you with a cease and desist order.
I've just, you know, knowing what that place has been through, you feel like you need a shot just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Just how disgusting and ugh.
Yeah, you know, as much as y'all have talked about it being a cockroach, it will be a source of pride at some point in time when it gets back online.
Yeah,
people go back down there.
This is my 5th hurricane, and I don't know if it's due to the ass whooping, once again due to my teary-eyed side, but my Florida pride has fucking blown through the roof in the last fucking last 38 days, more than ever has been.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. You know, I don't know if I was talking about on this podcast or what's the scuttlebutt, and obviously with Jeff actually serving 2 tours in combat, might be in the military, I try to say this only in a way of comparison, but, you know, Mike said, you know, he hasn't seen damage like that since 9/11, and you've seen the phrase war zone thrown around. Obviously, we don't have people fighting in the streets, and there's no paratroopers coming in, and we're not having bombs hitting us like over in Ukraine, but I will say, when you wake up in a cot with a gun in your lap because your entire home is unsecure, it kind of felt like a war zone for a few days because you just never know. Depending on where you live, you might have somebody in your fucking standing in your living room looking at your shit in the morning. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in training and you know, going through all the motions of everything, you know, we would do breach drills and you know, a lot of different combat drills and stuff like that, and it kind of reminded me a lot of that, you know, driving through, you know, seeing a lot of that destruction and just seeing, you know, just these, because when you're in, you know, training in the military, you know, it's just an empty building.
Yep.
You know, it's just a brick building that there's nothing there. And that, I was literally like, that's what I trained in that.
When you drive down Del Prado and you see these businesses that were built in like 1998,
yeah,
and the entire roofs are just peeled open and the entire contents is just laying out in the yard like a bomb fucking hit it. It's very easy to make that comparison.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense why, you know, the National Guard is so important in those type of roles and securing places and helping out, is because they were trained for, you know, a war type situation, and that best parallels it. And I know a lot of people give the National Guard a lot of crap, but from listening to a lot of the people I listen to out there, these guys actually get more real world action than most of the other armed forces.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they get their training's on point. They're constant. You know, they're called upon a lot more often. So
we were, you know, because I was in the Guard. I mean, you're called upon stateside, but you're also called upon to go, into combat theater and
which is amazing because I remember the Vietnam era. There was kind of like a joke that, if I remember correctly, that went around that, oh, he joined the Guard so he didn't have to go into theater. Yeah.
That's what and I got a lot of that too when I was in, oh, you Guard, you guys don't deploy, you reservists don't.
The Guard seems to be some of the biggest deployments that I've seen.
If you're in Arizona, if you're in Arizona and you're in right now, you may be in. Arizona Governor GOP candidate Carrie Lake used to be a former TV news anchor, so she knows how to talk on the TV and she knows how to handle journalists with their one-sided questions. I saw her on Tucker or somewhere, and her whole thing is if she gets voted in as governor, she is going to do within like the first 3 hours what everybody has been questioning. Why the fuck aren't these border states doing this? She's going to take the Arizona fucking National Guard and send them right to the fucking border. Shut that shit down. Absolutely.
And Texas, I think, kind of did the same thing. Speaking of military, I don't know if you saw this article today, but apparently we do have U.S. military is conducting on-site inspections of the weapons provided to Ukraine. So we do have some boys over there at least inspecting to make sure they don't get into the wrong hands, or
I'm sure
they're well trained.
I'm sure if we look at the map, technically they're probably standing on the west side of the border.
They're
of
not
Ukraine.
Near the theater of operation necessarily.
They probably won't even touch the soil just so they can't be, guilty by association. They're standing across the border looking at that shit. I guarantee it.
And I'm sure there's some contractors over there too. So,
and the current governor of Arizona, he's being threatened to be sued by the Federal Wildlife Bureau management because he had the audacity to take currently 100 double-stacked shipping containers and filled the gap in the fence that the government was building along the Arizona border.
States' rights.
Well, the Obama might as well be the fucking Biden administration.
No, actually, Obama actually bounced people off the border.
Biden administration's suing them for trespassing.
Is it federal land?
Yes, technically, even though it's in Arizona. It's like on
the taxpayers of the state help pay.
And
for
the governor's like, well, speaking of trespassing,
that's one of those gray areas that it's tough to decide who wins.
And the governor's like, speaking of trespassing, what about the hundreds of thousands of people who walk over
here?
They
don't count. That doesn't fit our message.
But yeah, it's crazy. So it'll be interesting to see how the elections go. This is usually the time of the year where podcast hosts and TV personalities and radio personalities remind you to get out and vote. That's not our slogan.
I have voted.
That's not our slogan here at the What's in Your Head podcast. Our slogan is, if you have to be reminded to go out and vote, stay fucking home because you're ill-informed and we don't want you out there anyhow. So,
and if you're ill-informed in these days with the constant barrage, I have never seen so many flyers in my mailbox for political ads, constant back-to-back-to-back ads politically. It was interesting. I voted on Sunday, and it's like, for the first 2 days of the week, I didn't have any political text hitting my post. I was like, well, that's a little creepy. Then they started again today, so they weren't that connected to my phone.
That's the fun thing about having an 18-year-old in the office. I get to tell Gail.
I
get to Gail, the young kid, with back in my day tales.
I voted for the first candidate I ever voted for. I was a senior in high school, 18. Could you guess who I voted for?
Nader.
For president? No.
Perot.
Yes.
First candidate I ever voted for was Arnold Schwarzenegger when he ran for governor of the state of California.
And he won.
I was going to say something, but I done plumb forgot. Must not been that.
Done forgot.
Forgot.
It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. I do hear that there's a lot of old school boomers that are turning from liberal to the other side because it's just gotten out of hand.
So I occasionally regale the 18-year-old with woes of back in my day.
Back in my day.
And I was showing, back in my day, when cell phones still had minutes, it was illegal for people to text you and call you a telemarketing because technically they cost you money. Now you have unlimited data and no one has landlines, and so the fucking floodgates are open. Your phone gets blown up with text messages, phone calls, diddle daddles, and all the bullshit involved. But you know what? Let's lighten the show up. Let's bring in the mirth, make people happy. Stop talking about depressing ass shit. So if you don't want to talk about depressing ass shit, we're a better place to go than weak news and look at the police blotter for Cape Coral. Police are looking for a car involved in apparent road rage shooting in Cape Coral, Florida.
That's light news. That's very uplifting.
The search is on for a driver after the apparent road rage shooting in Cape Coral on Friday night. Cape Coral police said it happened around 11 p.m. near the intersection of Cultural Park Boulevard and Southeast 8th Street. Now, for some of you who live in Cape Coral, but not exactly a fucking Google Maps, you say Cultural Park. Well, that's funny, yeah, because that's roughly around where the fucking police station is located. So these guys weren't the smartest peanuts in the turd, if you know what I mean. The victim
that's why it's called rage.
The victim claims the shooter was driving a silver four-door sedan with Florida plates.
Said dark gray Tundra.
It's 2022 and we're still giving out definitions like we're on goddamn chips in 1979. We're looking for a silver four-door sedan with Florida license. Can people not describe it? Was a fucking Kia. It was a silver Kia, or it was a Honda.
Well, it hasn't been
Nissan.
cleared, so they can't say the name of the brand on the police blotter.
A four-door
They've got to
sedan.
get the company to sign off, apparently.
Police say the victim was driving west on Pine Island Road nearing the intersection of Cultural Park Boulevard, close to the aforementioned Kia dealership. When a vehicle behind him began flashing his high beams and tailgating them. Why didn't you just brake check the fucking guy? The victim said they turned south on the Cultural Park Boulevard, heading towards the police station, and a car behind him continued to follow them and flash his lights at them. Back in my day, that meant somebody was going to follow you home and murder you. Police said when the two cars stopped at the red light at the intersection of Cultural Park Boulevard and Hancock Bridge Parkway, even closer to the police station.
So the guy's heading to the police station.
The victim got out of their car and asked the other driver what his fucking problem was. The other driver asked the victim to get back into his car and leave him the hell alone because he's scared. He's got his mask on. The police said the two continued south on Cultural Park Boulevard, closer toward the police station, when the driver behind the victim pulled up next to them and shot at the victim's car. That's
pew,
fucking
pew.
sound thinking. Chances are he don't have a concealed carry permit. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Can I digress momentarily?
On his pistol.
Can I digress momentarily?
Yeah.
The next time we have a mass shooting, God for fucking bid, and you assholes want to use it as a reason why I need gun control, and you refer to the guy as a gun nut and or a gun enthusiast, yet you show the AR-3
in trouble.
Yet you show the AR-15 he used is straight off the fucking shelf. Saying that
and it's actually a 22.
Saying those people are gun nuts or saying that the kid getting pulled over in a stock Honda Civic is a fucking race car enthusiast. No. If the guy was a gun nut, that shit would be pimped out to 38,000 different ways.
But he put a fart can on the back of that Honda, so I think he is a race car enthusiast.
Yeah, and he put a fucking tactical
sling on it too. Muffler delete. That's the big one now, right?
He had a single point tactical sling, so he was a gun nut. No, it's the cheapest one in the fucking shelf. It's the same reason why they use AR-15s. They're the cheapest fucking rifle in the goddamn store. They ain't going to use a $2,000 fucking ACR. I digress. Cape Coral police said the victim followed the other car until losing them around Cultural Park Boulevard. Even closer to the police station. The victim's car's back driver's side window had been shattered, and the police found an apparent bullet hole in the rear driver's side door. Police also found shattered glass on the ground near the intersection of Cultural Park Boulevard and Southeast 8th Street.
That wasn't a bullet hole. That was from a crossbow bolt.
Which was consistent with the story they were told by the nearby victims. Neighbors said they are worried that this happened so close to their homes and the police station. Here, everything is always okay. Everyone here is good people, very hardworking. Of course, whenever there is a delinquency in the neighborhood, this guy's 70. When's the last time you heard somebody use the phrase delinquency? Whenever there's a delinquency in the neighborhood, everyone gets scared. That's normal. Everyone here is scared whenever there's a problem and a normal feeling. But because I don't mess with anybody, no one messes with me. Get off the lawn, you fucking kids, said the neighbor, translated from Spanish. Wrong. Imagine that, it's raining. Good thing the fine people at the Blue Tarp crew came out and fixed my fucking roof. If anyone has information on the shooting suspect, you know what to do.
Yay.
Yeah. Now you say, Don, that's some good news. What other good
That
news
is
do we have
great
coming out of
news.
Southwest Florida? Florida Department of Transportation closes Caloosahatchee Bridge. Fort Myers,
When it
Florida.
rains, it pours.
Florida Department of Transportation closed the north and southbound lanes of US 41 Caloosahatchee Bridge in Fort Myers. FDOT says the lanes will be closed in both directions until further notification as crews preview potential impact to the corridor. Spokesperson with FDOT said the concerns are not the bridge itself per se. However, it's the approach slabs north of the bridge due to washout after Hurricane Ian. If repairs need to be made, spokesperson Adam Rose said, they'll fill it in with grout and concrete. I thought we used grout for floors, not for goddamn filling potholes. Fort Myers Police said they expect What's that?
I was going to ask, is Mike Rose still have dirty jobs?
I think he just brought it back because he did the Facebook thing
I'm
for
almost
a while.
thinking I'm seeing one of his new jobs coming up soon because he is actually a pretty
grout filler,
pretty good dude, and I see it as hurricane cleanup somewhere along the way.
Yep.
It would be interesting. It'd be something completely different. So,
speaking of hurricanes, I finally got the left side of my fence fixed. If you guys want to see how that's done, head over to Digital 410 over at t-410.com. Click on Post Hurricane Cleanup Part 2. And while you're there, go ahead and click on that Patreon link, like, subscribe, sign up, and help support the show, the channels, and all that good stuff. And feel free to buy a t-shirt while you're there. We do have Second Amendment shirts. We have Join or Die t-shirts. We have what'sinyourhead.com podcast t-shirts. We have Suck It Up Buttercup t-shirts and the like. And so, yeah, if you want to help support the show, you can do it that way. That would be fantastic. Mike, what else do you got on your list of shit? Go ahead.
Be in bad taste if you had a Suck It Up Buttercup shirt with a picture of Hurricane Ian on it, huh?
Yeah.
I was trying to be
I
funny,
do
but
still have the...
too soon.
I still have the Rescue California shirts with the upside-down California flag you can purchase.
There you go. Well, they all left, and now they're here.
So, Mike, what else you got on your story? Oh, shout out to Morgan Long. Ran into him in Harbor Freight and Tool. That was fun. And shout out to the guy who gave me the thumbs up driving down the street when I thought maybe he was giving me a thumbs up for the Savage Race sticker on the back of my car. I rolled down my window, and he said, "What's up, D-Train? Best producer they ever had." So, shout out to you guys for giving me some love in the parking lot.
Don walked a little taller for the rest of the day. Speaking of which, how was your first day with your 60?
Oh, yeah. Gordon challenged me, and everybody knows I like a good challenge. And I had to tamper it down a bit, not because because I know I can't do it, because I've gone down this road before by my lonesome, but I'm still above a challenge. Gordon texted me, and what did your text say, sir?
Something along the lines of you want to do 100 push-ups a day for the month of November. Is how it started.
And I said, how about 50? Because I tried 100, and it's not the 100. It's the 100 on day 4.
Yes. Well, we rounded it up to 60.
And
3 sets of 20.
Today was the day. Mike, if you want to get involved, you just need to bust out 60 push-ups between now and midnight. And
not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing.
Now, I was happy because I did 2 sets of 30.
I was going to say, there's no rules.
I'm way the fuck out of shape.
There's no rules. You can do.
You won't be by the end of the month.
You can do sets of 5.
Gordon's you may not be able to pick up your tools.
I literally in my Google Maps right now, for the entire month, I get up at 5:30, I bust out 10. When I get to work at 7, no one's there, I bust out 20. And then at 11:30, I do 15. And then 15, and I think I got, I came home to do my 15 at 5, but Bailey kept licking my face, only got in 10, so I got to squeeze in 5 more before I'm in bed. But yeah, I don't do them all at once. I just spread them out throughout the day.
This morning, I got to the office, I busted out 30. And then I think 2 hours later, I said, you know what? I'll just get the other 30 out of the way.
The fact that you
now,
can do
tomorrow's
30
gonna be different because it is a gym morning. So we'll see how that goes. And it's arms. And then Friday's chest. So Fridays will be a little more interesting, I'm thinking.
The fact that you can do 30 consecutively is good. That's a shout out to you. Like, I can do 22, 25.
I'm a big boy, but it's firm.
So
except for right there.
I usually do between 22 and 25 if I'm really pushing. So yeah, 20 will be my max, and then I just
and I'm not
10.
precious about my push-ups, like getting the chest all the way to the ground, I'm a few inches off because as you age and suffer shoulder injuries, your range of motion does change. But they're a pretty good solid push-up.
Speaking
and I've
of
been
range
doing them.
of
I've actually
motion-
been doing them almost every day anyway.
Where's your hand placement at?
I've been going a little wide.
Yep.
I like that. I like that.
If you're
Sometimes my right hand's a little farther forward than I want it to be, so I kind of have to scoot it back. But
if your elbows start to hurt, I find what they refer to as military push-ups, where your elbows are in and your hands are closer. Those actually seem to be a little easier for me. So sometimes I'll switch to those because like the wide grip is kind of like doing, you know, obviously when you bench, the closer you get, the easier it is. So push-ups are the same. So like if I get tired, I'll just bring it in and bring them down. And
remember how I was bragging about my gym having the nice bench press that you can rock forward so you don't hurt yourself?
Mm-hmm. You hurt
Yeah,
yourself.
them brilliant people decided to replace them with standard new ones.
Yeah, liability insurance don't cover the movie parts. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and say on this episode, and if you guys want to join us in the 60-day push-up challenge, you can either A, tag us on Strava, which is kind of what we've been doing, or B, if you don't have Strava, please just post it to Facebook or Instagram and just do hashtag 60 a day and then tag us, and we'll include you in our tags. And yeah, let's see who can get. I'm saying that I will personally be able to make it for about 8 days. Then I'll be, because in my experience,
and that very well could be me too.
in my experience, when I tried this before, it wasn't getting 100 in a day. It's you're just so fucking, even if you're breaking them up into 5 push-up chunks, your body just gets so goddamn sore.
I will admit I do have a little helper, but I'm at the end of the helper cycle right now.
Well, I have a bit of a less than helper because not only have I paddling in my kayak, thus wearing my arms out, I've literally been digging up fence posts and planting fence for the last 9 days.
Yep.
So
you're already nice and
my
pre-worn
shoulders,
out.
chest, and arms are already fucking burnt up. But yeah. So anyhow,
Yeah, it's fun. Now the only problem I'm having is I did upgrade to a Samsung Galaxy 5 watch.
it's a Galaxy.
And it does come with Strava,
Mhm.
but it's not syncing. I think it's because it's when I look into it, they're like, do not use any other fitness apps. Well, I do, and I'm not going to bump out of them. So I've been taking screenshots, basically, of my phone just to prove. And you can see my heart rate going up, you know.
I'm not. I just do manual entries because I have my Garmin watch. I love it. There's no fucking storage space on it. I have one watch face and one fucking activity, so I can't put anything else in it, and I can't find
16 gigs, baby.
I can't find an activity that works well as far as managing that stuff. So I'm looking through. I got, let's see, 5:48 I did 10, 7:10 I did 20, so that's 30. At 10:58 I did 15 more, so that's 45. And then at 5 I did 10. So what? I own 15 before midnight.
I think you're down to 5. I actually texted back because I counted your post. You're down to 5.
Sweet.
You just got to bang out a quick 5.
Well, let's do that right now. You guys just talk.
That's what I thought. So here he goes. We won't see it. He's going to be on his knees like a girl.
Crossing the ankles.
Crossing the ankles, on his knee like a girl. Yep.
You're trained like a bitch, and I got to go get soda after the podcast.
Were you on your knees like a chick?
No.
You went halfway down. Don't lie to us.
No, I'm honest. Like when I do my manual activity, I'm like, okay, 5 push-ups, that probably took me 10 seconds. I'm not going to say it took me 6. I'm not busting out one every second. I'm slower than that.
And that's just it. You know, I was telling somebody at work, he goes, well, how do you know that, you know, that's being done, you know, and keeping track? I'm like, because it's about being honest with yourself first.
And furthermore, if you guys...
why are you going to lie to yourself? I mean, you know, you're a piece of shit if you do.
And furthermore, somebody has as many Savage Race fucking shiny things and 5K shiny things on my wall. I'm not the type to lie about dumb shit. And, you know, it's funny. Martin has been on the show. I remember a couple years back he posted, so I just got done studying for my eye exam. And I'm like, yeah, that's cute and funny and all, but let's be honest, you're getting older. If you're cheating on an eye exam, you're only fucking yourself because you're still going to be blind at the end of the goddamn day.
So if you have a Samsung phone, have you ever set up the adapt sound to you in a quiet room with your headphones?
The adapt sound?
Yeah, so what it does is it adjusts the ranges, the different octaves, so to speak, or hertz of sound for your ears. And there were like 3 different high-pitched things I could not hear at all.
Wow.
Well, that's not good. Maybe that's part of that sound of nagging that my wife says I can't hear. But
that's like Haney. He can't hear a woman's voice up to a certain octave. That brings up a segue. Carrie has a student that only comes in for reading and specials and then lunch. So she has her for about an hour and a half. She has a tutor. This young girl honestly needs to be in a full day special needs program, but I guess the mom's wanting her to try to get a little social interaction, which is great.
Understandable.
But she is one of those children who has to wear the noise-canceling headphones because when it gets loud in the classroom, she freaks the fuck out.
Oh, she's on the spectrum possibly, huh?
What I asked Carrie, and she doesn't know, have either one of you used active noise-canceling headphones?
I did years ago. I had a pair of Sonys for flying, but the thing is, the only thing like on a plane, the only thing it drowned out was the airplane, and then I can hear everybody's voice perfectly fine.
Mike?
Yeah, I've actually
really
tried a couple of pair.
What'd you think about them?
Again, it was years ago too.
I heard the hiss in the background.
The idea was there, but the technology wasn't quite there yet.
Now, I don't know if there's a difference between a $130 pair of active noise-canceling headphones and a pair of $35 ones I got off of Amazon.
Pretty sure.
But when I actually hit the active noise-canceling button and put it on, even without the music.
Yeah.
Bless you. I can feel it.
Kazuki.
See what you did?
Bless you.
This yawns that's contagious, not sneezes.
I can literally feel it. I can't do it. It makes me uncomfortable. And I'm like, how do these kids that are supposed to be super sensitive to sounds handle the
hissing?
Whatever? It's not even a hiss. You can't. I feel it. Like I feel like somebody squeezing my head. It's the octaves they're using. You can't hear it, but whatever octaves they're doing to trick your ears to cancel out I can fucking hear it, and it makes me very uncomfortable. I listen to them at work, but I do not actually activate the powered noise cancellation. I can't handle it.
Actually, I am kind of lying. I have gone to new hearing protection for shooting. You may have seen the ads, Axel, the little ones that you put in. Well, they're good enough. I did some research. They're made by a company out of Utah that actually makes hearing aids. So I bought these. I think it was like two for $200 or something. I was like, oh, that's a decent deal. They're now making them for SIG, but when you put them in, anything that hits over 80 dB, it cancels out. Yeah, I mean, you'll still hear your gun. It's a little louder than your headphones. If you get it fit a little better properly, it's not. But what's interesting is it actually has hearing enhancement. So I could turn that up. The gun's still safe to my ears, but I can hear the people 100 yards away talking. I think that's pretty freaking cool. So I've been testing those out for a little while now, and I actually keep them in my center console just to. But
so yes, that means
I got fucked with 3M earplugs. So
getting on that lawsuit. That's when you know that as a non-active military person, you spend way too much time looking at military history. When your Instagram page gets inundated with fucking lawsuit for the 3M earplugs for the
you just
Marine
look
Corps.
at guns and you end up getting it too.
But
what about the construction workers and the 3M earplugs? Because I know I've had some janky, foamy ones that start kind of working their way out of your ear when you're using a hammer drill and you're breathing in silica dust, which I've done a lot of. Mm-hmm. That could be another problem. But, stuff like that.
What else you got on your story list there, Mike?
Well, let's see here. I don't think that anyone's talked about this yet, but this was from October 14th.
That's 4 days ago for those of you paying attention at home.
What?
A home inspector in Oakland County, Michigan, has been convicted of aggravated indecent exposure after a security camera showed him masturbating with a Tickle Me Elmo doll.
Oh, dear God.
See, you answered the question, because my question
was is this located somewhere near the town of Detroit?
I'm not sure.
Because my question is going to be,
what's the name of the city?
It said Oakland County, Michigan.
Because my question is going to be, what does one have to do to get aggravated nudity? But you answered that question.
Kevin Wayne Van Leuven of Clarkston was convicted.
Of course, he's a Van Leuven.
Yeah, convicted during a one-day trial, but acquitted on another charge, malicious destruction of property. Van Leuven was arrested in April 2021 while doing some home inspection in Oxford Township. He was one of the client's in one of the client's bedrooms when Jada Dawson, one of the homeowners, got a notification that someone was in the nursery.
Okay, it is
That's part of
northwest of the edge of Detroit.
Yeah,
so,
it's part of the
okay.
metropolitan Detroit area, northwest of the city, as Gordon said. Approximately 1,274,395 motherfuckers jacking off all at the same time.
When Dodson pulled up the webcam alert, she saw Van Leuven masturbating before picking up an Elmo doll off the floor and appeared to pleasure himself with the doll.
Well, hold on.
With
the doll's hand or with the doll?
Doesn't specify.
He's thinking there any port in a storm at that point.
Right.
Well, keep in mind the Tickle Me Elmo does vibrate when you tickle it.
It does.
I did not know this.
Hence the name, Tickle Me Elmo. He goes,
but I did not have children, so.
Yes, he vibrates profusely.
She said, Lord. I just went blank. Oh, wait a minute.
He's just shot blank, so thank you.
My husband was staring at me from across the room and was like, what's wrong?
Oh, look,
he asked me repeatedly, and I couldn't even articulate what I was seeing. Van Leuven was still inspecting the house when Oakland County investigators arrived at the scene. He claimed that he had moved the doll to inspect an electrical outlet, but confessed after learning about the camera in the nursery.
He's one of them Van Leuvens.
The responding officer also reported that Van Leuven admitted to placing his penis in Elmo's mouth.
Now, hold on, time. Hold on. We know that they saw him via
tells
the
me
name.
this guy's got a furry fetish.
Here, look, now, I'm not condoning masturbating in someone else's home when they're not home, but what kind of weirdo does this when they're there?
No, they weren't there.
They weren't in the other room?
No, she saw it on a
nanny cam.
From what I understand,
he gained access somehow.
I thought he was there doing. I thought he was there doing work.
Yeah, she apparently saw it on, probably like a Ring camera or something.
Okay, I thought he was there like doing fucking service
work. He was
work.
inspecting, so he may have. Yeah,
maybe got one of those key boxes, or they got one of those key boxes.
Possibly. There's one with the 4 numbers, and it doesn't matter which direction you hit those numbers. As long as you got them, you're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have to be nuts on either. They can just be close enough.
No, it could be out of order as long as it's the 4 numbers.
Where was I? The officer responding also reported that Van Leuven admitted to placing his penis in Elmo's mouth, in the doll's mouth, and apologized and said he was ashamed. Whoa. You don't think anything can surprise you, and yet the disgusting ability of some people still manages to surprise me on this. Scary. Although indecent exposure is a misdemeanor in Michigan, Van Leuven faces up to 2 years in prison and a $2,000 fine when he's sentenced in December.
I assume they threw the Elmo away, right?
God, I think they threw the Elmo at him instead of the book.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy who had to bring up the whole concept of pre-cum, so yeah, just throw the fucking thing away.
I mean,
hopefully he didn't finish.
He's an interesting looking character.
That's where the word pre comes in.
I can tell you that much.
Well, go ahead and send me that mugshot. We'll put it up at whatsinyourhead.com for this episode. Yeah. So if you guys want to see what the Mad Jacker.
Kevin Wayne Van Leuven, Vanluven. And the tagline is Michigan home inspector convicted after masturbating with client's Elmo doll.
No, at least it went a Monchichi.
Oh, yeah, he's special.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is he's wearing a mask inside a home that nobody's in. But yet, he unmasks something else.
I was thinking about this today. When we were in high school, I participated in a lot of extracurricular, semi-straight edge youth groups things. And when you get into any sort of borderline psychology or what have you, there used to be a phrase, a reference to the metaphorical wearing of the mask. You got to take the mask down and let people see the real you. You got to stop hiding behind that mask.
Oh, they saw the real him.
Well, my point is being, when you see these people riding down the street in the car by themselves with a mask on, it has nothing to do with COVID. These people found a sociological, acceptable way to literally hide behind a mask. I truly feel these got to be people with super low self-esteem, high anxiety, and it looks a lot better than hiding under a fucking hoodie all day. It's like 5 days after hurricane, you're walking through Publix with a fucking mask on. Were you sitting in your house for 9 hours by yourself with a goddamn mask on? Are you fucking kidding me?
I may be a little insensitive here.
It's a pacifier. It pacifies people's anxieties. Can we call it what it is? It's a fucking pacifier.
I'm sorry. I may be a little insensitive here. I think there may be a few branches missing from his family tree because this guy's eyes are awful close together.
Well, that was always my. No, you didn't offend anybody. That was always my whole.
Maybe some Van Leeuwens.
That was my whole hypothesis behind fucking Klans members and skinheads. Have you ever seen like photos? Like HBO did a documentary in the 90s about fucking 90s modern day white national socialists. And these motherfuckers fucking
they look
close
a lot like the
eyes.
wonderful whites of West Virginia.
Overbites. Let's just say they're all, it's like.
If that's the lineage you're trying to keep pure, you're fucking insane.
Well, not only that, but it's a self-selecting sample because these people are
quite literally
fucking illiterate, dumb, and physically missing a few chromosomes.
My mom is my sister and my cousin and my aunt.
Yeah. We're like the monarchy. The king and queen, they had to marry within the family. It's good enough for them. It's good enough. Shut the fuck up, Cletus.
You ever seen the mini documentary about the Whitakers? You should look that up.
I've seen the wild, wonderful whites of West Virginia.
Yeah.
I struggled to get through that.
We're talking generational.
Yeah.
Generational. And I'd say 3 of them can't even speak English.
Yeah, I know. I kind of went down a rabbit hole on how some of these modern inbred people look like. But if you even look up a picture of what the hell is this famous dude? It's got a moon face. The fuck. It's how it killed lineage of kings. This fucking guy is just the weirdest. Charles II of Spain. Oh, oddly, it looks like Don.
I'd be remiss if we had one of the hosts of the Tackle Your Personal Best podcast on the show and not talk about fishing momentarily. And I would be remiss if I didn't make that segue, since we're talking about Midwesterners and people of questionable caliber and life choice skills. Dateline, Cleveland, a pair of fishermen are facing potential prison time for charges related to cheating in the Lake Erie Walleye tournament that took place last month. That's right. Jacob Runyon.
He cheated in a walleye tournament?
You haven't heard about this?
Motherfuckers.
You seriously haven't heard about this, Gordon? These are the guys who put
I'm not in Ohio anymore.
No,
so
this was all over because these guys put lead weights in their walleye.
I'm in the desert.
This was all over Fish Talk. Anyhow, so for those you guys don't know, these guys, like one of them I think made like probably close to $30,000 last year in professional fishing tournaments.
Total lifetime, I think either one of them or both of them together, $2 million.
Ooh,
and they got caught.
Got caught, didn't they?
Mike and I were talking about this the other day. A expert angler knows the weight of a fish based on the length, give or take a pound or half a pound. That's why when you take photos of a fish, you're better off putting it next to a tape measure than a digital scale because people will think you photoshopped it. And so these dipshits went out in a walleye tournament on Lake Erie and turned in their 5 fish, and they're weighing them, and the guy's like, that ain't no X amount of fish. And so they start cutting the fucking thing open. And what these guys did, they had 5 big-ass walleye. They caught other walleye, chopped those walleyes up, took fillets, shoved lead weights in them, and then shoved them down the gullets of the walleye that they turned in. They literally corked the bat of 5 of their fucking fish they turned in.
Yep.
And people literally about ran them out on a rail. So update, Jacob Runyon of Astable and Chase Kolemsky of Hermitage, PA were arraigned on multiple charges Wednesday morning. Say what? Who cares? They cheated in a walleye bass tournament. Well, whenever there's fishing involved, there's federal government involved, and usually in the form of a wildlife management. The 2 were indicted earlier this month by the Cuyahoga County Grand Jury for cheating, attempted grand theft, possessing criminal tools, and unlawful ownership of wild animals during the Lake Erie Walleye Trail Tournament in September of 2022. Quote, You have individuals who committed a fraud trying to obtain money. That's a fraud in any context, whether it's fishing case or some Ponzi scheme, said Assistant Cuyahoga County Prosecutor James. There had been suspicious about these two in the past, but police didn't find enough evidence to criminally charge them. We've looked at their prior tournaments as part of the investigation. There are suspicions out there, but there's no evidence to prove they cheated in any of the aforementioned tournaments, said another person. This time, it was different. After the Lake Erie Walleye Tournament, directors found weights in the fish fillets stuffed inside the catch. What made it worse is people caught it on phone because, well, TikTok. The boats they used that day were seized as criminal tool. So they had their fucking $100,000 bass boat fucking repossessed. Quote, I think in the whole fishing industry is a victim. It gives a bad name to the individuals, and I'm sure 99.9% of the anglers out there are all people with integrity and let's be honest, about 79.8. Let's not get a little overzealous here. Integrity of honesty, because we've seen the bass boxes you fuckers plant 2 days before the bass tournament, but that's another story for another time. Play by the rules. Cleveland Walleye Tournament organizers say from now on they will have a metal detector on hand and use lie detectors. How about we do this? We don't need metal detectors. We don't need lie detectors. Do what the fucking Bass National Tournament did last year. Put a referee in every fucking boat. That fish comes out of the water. They weigh it digitally. They enter it in their tablet and they release the fish. Now no fish fucking die. No fish get stressful. No one's cheating. And there's a referee in every boat. And it doesn't cost you the money of all that other bullshit. Running and Krominski each face 3 years in prison if convicted on the felony charges. Yeah, they got them for everything. And even if they don't get 3 years, their days as being a professional fisherman are fucking done.
Sponsorships out the window. Yeah. The big grand prize, aside from money from that tournament, was supposed to be like 2 bass boats and a truck.
Yeah. So I mean, that's just
you're stealing.
And they put out like a video on their Facebook page or the Instagram page the day before talking about how there's no concerns. They know they're going to win and just all this shit that in hindsight, you're like, ooh, yeah, you probably should.
All right, Don, name this musician. You're all talking of fishing is kind of reminding me of something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Earl was fishing when he caught a walleyed bass, which had 27 eyes on it. It was 27-eyed walleyed bass. Earl looked at it and decided, wouldn't this be good to eat? So he took out his knife and cut it open. But the fish looked up at him and said, "Please, mister, please don't eat me." And Earl said, "But I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I work on a maggot farm. My wife can only say dog pussy. My daughter's a pile of fungus. My son spent all his college money on 976 numbers. I have to eat you."
No, that's got to be Dead Milk, man.
It is. Yeah, I was thinking walleyed bass.
What album is that off of?
That is off.
Is that a Metaphysical Graffiti? Because I'm not up to snuff on that one as well.
Absolutely. That was one of my favorite albums of theirs.
That was a great one.
Damn, nailed it.
I fucking nailed it. I called my shot the other day in TikTok, you motherfucker. I was live streaming and it gave me a warning about being 90 minutes over and I said, fuck off. And so I can't download it. It's corrupt. I was at the spot where I threw my Guggen revolver and caught that 5.5 pound bass. And I straight pulled a fucking called my shot Babe Ruth style. I said, that's the spot. I'm going to cast it. It was on the third retrieve. The bass hit. I cast it. Same spot. Fucking third. 1, 2, 3. Boom. And it hits it. I'm reeling it in and it jumped and spit it out. But I couldn't pull the TikTok footage because I went too long. Oh, but I could have called my shot.
Is that on the live feed that you went too long?
Yeah. After 90 minutes, it's too long for them to back up because you can actually go on there and download your live so you can cut the footage up later.
There you go.
That one's unretrievable.
So basically, you almost have to stop your live feed and restart it again.
Yeah, I usually try to, unless I have a bunch. I had like 150 people in there, so I wasn't about to end it. I average usually 5. So the fact that 150 people in there at one time, I wasn't about to. You can take your warnings and go to hell, sir. But yeah, I digress. Putin says he will no longer use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Whoop-de-doo, nobody cares.
Well, that means that he's probably going to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine because don't they do the opposite of what they say or do what they are blaming somebody else for doing?
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. 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 So, yeah. Joining us live from the Your Business Name Here news desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, it's your friend Gordon. Gordon, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Getting good grades. His future's so bright. Had to wear
Because
shades.
he's got asked twice in one night. Helsinki, Finland. Why? Because I wanted to say Helsinki.
Sheboygan.
A venomous 7-foot king cobra that escaped from its home
On my head.
in the Swedish zoo. Well, it returned itself back home.
What does Swedes know about maintaining fucking snakes?
I don't know. But,
no, that's New Zealand that doesn't have snakes.
It definitely brought a happy ending to a over week-long disappearance saga. Snake's name, Houdini, had crawled back into his
Did you
terrarium.
say Norway? Sweden.
Finland.
Oh,
Finland.
It's all the same.
How dare you, sir? CEO Jonas Wallström of the Sandsken Aquarium told Swedish public broadcasters, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's Helsinki, Sweden. Helsinki,
Sweden. I said Sweden.
Yes. Why did I say Finland? I have no idea. You're right. It is all the same thing.
It's
all above Russia.
I knew it was Sweden because it's funner to say Sweden. Yeah. We had a Swedish girl that was in their high school.
Helsinki is where the article's out of. Sorry. Yet again.
So are we in Sweden or Finland?
Whose official name is Servas.
Are we in Sweden or Finland? This is very important.
Helsinki, Finland is where the story's out of, but it is Sweden where this took place.
Go ahead. I'm trying to get the list of. I want to see if there's.
I'm just thinking Swedish bikini models now.
Well, I know there's no indigenous snakes to the island of New Zealand, so I was seeing if there was anything in this.
Nor Ireland, because they were allegedly run out by St. Patrick. The deadly snake, whose official name again was Servas, which means Sir Hiss, escaped on October 22nd via a light fixture in the ceiling of its glass enclosure at the aquarium, part of the zoo at the Sagsken Open Air Museum in the part of Stockholm's Djurgården Island. We'll just start referring to Sweden as IKEA. As a result of the intensive search with X-ray machines, Houdini was located earlier in the week in a confined space located near the terrarium in the insulation located between two walls. Holes were drilled into the walls where the snake was hiding, but the cobra disappeared from the view of the X-ray cameras. Early Sunday, thank God they weren't using heat cameras because I don't think you'd see much.
I was going to say, I can't trust a stud finder to find a fucking stud, let alone a snake, without puncturing it.
I found it.
Somebody has Kool-Aid in the wall.
A lot of movement in here when I drilled. It turned out the snake had given up its freedom ride and crawled back into its terrarium. According to Wallström, it was too stressful for Houdini with all the holes in the wall, so he wanted to go home again. So good for them. Venomous snake has returned itself. And why?
The reason I wanted to know if it was Sweden or Finland, how many indigenous venomous snakes are in Sweden, sir? Take a guess.
Probably maybe one.
Mike?
3.
Ding, ding, ding. Point goes to Gordon. Number 1, the adder. It's the only venomous snake that's indigenous to Sweden. Adult average round 55 centimeters, 22 inches long for you American folk. Colors varies and can be from brown, red, or light gray with zigzag stripes on their back, but some individuals are entirely black. And so, yeah, with the exception of the aforementioned Houdini, who was brought in from a faraway land, there is only one venomous snake in all of Sweden. Back to you.
I got a barking little dog in the background. Okay, now we're going to go from Sweden,
yeah,
to Wyandotte, Michigan. Not to be confused with
Wyandotte Lake, which was a water park.
This one's spelled slightly different. It's Wyandotte, and maybe it's Wyandotte.
I don't even know if Wyandotte Lake's even worth going to anymore.
Trick or treat. trick-or-treating and it's off limits in the suburban Detroit neighborhood. Interesting. Why? There's nothing sweet about bringing home a cockroach, according to WNYH.
Very true.
According to officials in WNYH, it said cockroach infestations has been confirmed in a vacant home after a trip from the trash hauler. The pests have been moving along into other homes in the area. Sidewalks will be closed Monday night on the portion of, or was closed Monday night on a portion of 20th Street, according to city engineer Greg Mayhew.
I was going to say, why would you close the sidewalk? Why wouldn't you invite people to come out to have a roach stomping party?
And he said the Halloween ban will prevent future roach migration, such as getting on clothing and in bags.
Why can't you just put out PSAs about how to clean your fucking house? I mean, that's the crux.
I think the problem is it doesn't matter how you clean a house. If you get a roach infestation, you're a little hosed.
I know, but if your entire city is such a roast infested shit show that the city has to cut off fucking Halloween,
it's near
maybe
Detroit.
Let's put some PSA videos out.
It's near Detroit. They don't have the budget.
They
The
can produce a
Halloween,
YouTube video.
so the city is trying to exterminate the roaches, but it will take some time, according to Mayhew. Walking the streets can help kill the cockroaches, but their eggs could still spread and survive, according to city council member.
What
Todd
we're going to
Hand.
have to do, the whole community is going to have to volunteer to help. Through the winter season, we're just going to shut off the heat and freeze them out. Springtime comes, we'll be good to go.
Or in Ukraine right now.
What's that?
You know what Russia's trying to do to Ukraine right now is
Oh,
kill the
so they're trying to kill the roaches. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because that's why we have so many bugs down here in Florida. We don't have a cold snap like in Vegas. We get these weird bugs because we don't have a winter to come wipe these fuckers out in 6 months.
And when we don't have a cold snap a couple years in a row, they definitely populate. It is a truth to it. Switzerland, Geneva.
Switzerland?
They now have a new world record.
Oh, I thought you were going to say New World Order. I'm like, well, that's nothing.
That's not the Switzerland I know. It's the country next to it. What would this world record be? If it were this and not a big block of cheese.
The fastest consumption of a boot of hot chocolate, complete with mini mushrooms. I mean, marshmallows.
The boots that are screwed to the skis, and they got all at the same time.
Yeah, they borrowed them from their German counterparts when Oktoberfest is over. They have their hot chocolate drinking contest.
Not even close.
Damn. Mike?
I have no guess.
A Swiss railway company has claimed to record the world's longest passenger train
Of course.
Saturday with a trip on one of the most spectacular tracks through the Alps.
Choo-choo.
Have you seen a video of the Swiss Alps?
Yes, it's fucking amazing.
It is fucking amazing.
Speaking of choo-choos, if things go to plan, I will be up in Parrish, Florida this weekend at the Florida Train Museum for the Van Cussinger Express. It's the World War II event weekend where you
It
ride
won't be a
the train.
1.2 mile long train with 100 coaches like this one.
No, but it's like a 2.5 mile track complete with Germans in Nazi uniforms handing out propaganda while they yell at you and your children until we come along and save the day. So think of it like a murder mystery dinner tour without the murder, the mystery, or the fucking dinner. It's a train ride and entertainment.
It's just the murder.
Yeah. And so this is one of the events that's not historically correct. We just do it because the Florida Train Museum makes all their yearly revenue during this weekend and the weekend where Santa offers a train ride to the kids to the North Pole. So we're going to do our part.
As I mentioned, this is a 1.2 mile long train composed of 100 coaches, and it runs along the Albuna-Bernina route from Pirda to Bergen. So this route is designated
coal
as
fire because fuck you, Greta Thunberg.
UNESCO World Heritage. And what's interesting is in 2008, it leads through 22 tunnels, some of which spiral through mountains across 48 bridges, and includes a curved Landwasser viaduct. The entire journey took an hour. Rail enthusiasts lined up in the valley to watch the train's 25 sections wind their way through the 15.5 miles of the Alps.
These fuckers have got a 2.5 long mile train that sits through 38 tunnels. In California, can't build a fucking monorail from Merced to fucking Bakersfield in 20 years for $3 billion.
Trying to get the one from Vegas to Victorville. Figure that one out.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Last story. What is your thoughts on vanity tags?
Not worth the money.
Okay, I have one on one of our cars, but okay.
Well,
it's $20 a year.
To be fair, that was before you came along.
Well,
so you're just you're revamping the tag. You didn't make the initial investment.
Oh, we made the initial investment. It's Subina.
Oh, I thought it was the hot Greek goddess.
Oh, the Greek hottie plate? No, that one went away when I was stuck driving that
used to have to drive a car
construction. I was stuck
like...
driving that vehicle working construction. And if anybody knows people in the trades, that's like a target.
Bullying doesn't stop after high school, kids, especially if you're on a job site. What's up, Greek goddess?
Actually,
I thought you were from Kentucky.
It's Greek hottie is what it was. It was my wife's vehicle, and I was driving it because it was a little more beat compared to the newer car at the time.
I love
which
you,
was
but my car is better than yours.
Caliber,
yours a piece of shit, so I'm driving yours.
Quick.
I'm going to drive yours to the work site.
Portland, Maine. Maine is cleaning up its roadways by removing the vulgarities from its license plates. The state is enforcing new rules to eliminate F-bombs and other obscenities that have appeared on vanity license plates after the state effectively decided to eliminate its review process. Well, what's going to happen?
Dipshits.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but you get what you asked for.
Yeah. I say those people should be grandfathered in because they hopped on it real quick.
I think it should be directly correlated to how many years worth of tags you bought and how much you contributed to fucking roadways. I've had this tag for 23 years.
I had a late 90s white Buick LeSabre that I bought in Montana with like 260,000 miles. And I so wanted to go with the car to get a giggity license plate for it. Never did. Sold that car within a year of moving here. Anyhow, Secretary of State Shannon Bellows is passionate about free speech and as a former director of the American Civil Liberties Union of Maine, said the obscenity should not be on license plates, which are state property.
And I agree. I mean, I'm all about cursing if you listen to this podcast, but I don't want my kid to see your license plate if it says cunt waffles on it or something. I mean, let's have a little decorum, shall we? I used to know a lesbian who drove a truck that said muff. It's what's for dinner across the windshield.
Abbreviate? 8 letters is what you usually can get on CNTWAFLS. Yeah, I got you. Don't you hate those license plates that you stare at it like 80 different ways? You still can't figure out what it says.
Yeah, because your mind always
goes. Then you look at somebody next to you whose mind is evidently similar to the asshole in front of you. It's like, oh no, that's what that means.
That's because you look at it and you're trying to think of the most diverse, horrible, sexual, grotesque thing.
No, not even that.
And you look at her and say, it says, I like dogs.
The most interesting, and I think I've mentioned this before, the most interesting license plate, and I saw it go to a different vehicle. There was, about 2009, 2010, I was going down the freeway, and there was a hot blonde driving a black Honda Accord, and her license plate was Hot Pocket. On my side of town, I saw same exact license plate on a minivan. So evidently, she got married and had some kids.
Well, I remember there was back in Michigan or Ohio back in the day, there was a similar story, and this guy was pissed because they revoked his license plate he had on his hearse, and it was like one on ice or something like that, and people were offended that he had that on his hearse.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
He said what they said is they want to get with those people who want to engage in objectionable and questionable speech, get a bumper sticker. Put a bumper sticker on, don't put it on the license plate.
Or go to Obama rally and yell, fuck Joe Biden. They didn't say, let's go Brandon. They said, fuck Joe Biden. He's, hold on now. Hold on.
So basically, Maine's new rules, which Bella says track closely with New Hampshire's revised standards, ban derogatory references to age, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, religion, or disability. Although there is one truck that runs around here with a license plate. I believe it has the Gaston logo, or maybe actually a Marine. Actually, no, it has a Marine veteran logo on it, and it basically says, what are we called over there?
Limeys?
No, what
No,
is
that's
it? The Muslims refer to our types of people.
Infidels.
That's exactly what it said. So I've said good for you. But yeah, so they're just wanting to kind of keep it above board and keep it sane. And that's kind of it for the news, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do we really need like straight up fuck your face bumper sticker?
DIKCHEZ? Yeah, we don't need that.
We have a restaurant called FCK Your Diet.
This concludes the evening news, and now back to the ACT Computer Studio in Cape Coral, Florida.
Remember the quaint days when everybody clutched their pearls when Tom Arnold and crew on ESPN came out with a show that called the best damn sports show ever? Oh, they got a card for their name and their title of their show.
Oh.
What are we going to do? Holy shit. We can't have that.
I went.
Well, we're on cable. We can say it. Oh, okay.
And then they started doing the shit after 10 p.m. on Comedy Central. It's interesting. We went to Dick's Last Resort here
did.
for the first time. I know I told Dom this off the air. And I need to see if Mike, see if I may have gone too far. So they do a lot of fuck you, you're stupid type talk to you. And this was a girl in her early 20s, and I gave it to her. She gave it good, but then I looked at
that's right. My cell phone plan's only 4 years younger than she was, but go ahead.
I said, hey, I thought you aborted her 20-something years ago. Why'd you put her up for adoption?
He did it again.
Shit.
Caused trouble. Hurt someone's feelings. Yet he didn't want to do it. Yes, troublesome people are often people in trouble. They may be mentally ill. Find out how you can help. Write Better Mental Health, Box 3000, New York 1, New York.
She's actually nice to me the rest of the evening after that.
Surprising.
Hey, if you give it, you better get it back. Because I am all about that shit. And I will drag you
Good
down
evening.
in the mud.
My name is Donovan 410, and I see the world in crisis. We have governments that are billions of dollars in debt. We have hyperinflation. We have protests. We have riots. We have infrastructure falling apart. We have cyber attacks almost daily on our world's needs. And that's why I want to talk to you about something important, and that is your family's future. When it comes time to protect your family, are you going to rely on worthless paper currency? Of course not. Instead, you're going to call the Digital 410 Reserve, and we're going to sell to you our super valuable silver and gold in exchange for that worthless paper currency. So in the future, when the civilization's falling down and people are struggling to survive, do you think they're going to want to exchange goods and services for your worthless paper currency? Or do you want to have the security of silver and gold? That's right, you want silver and gold. So give us a call right now, and we will happily sell you our valuable silver and gold in exchange for your worthless paper currency. Do it now.
There's no time to delay. Call the Digital 410 Reserve right now at 239-299-3896. We will happily exchange our valuable silver and gold for your worthless currency based on market price minus the %.
So, real quick.
Have you
I
ever
don't
wondered
know if it
that,
was
though?
intentional,
It's like,
but it worked out well. It's the production quality purposely sounding like shit.
Yep.
I'm selling you. I got all this silver and gold, right? We got money.
Yep.
We're not, it reminds me of like those 80s local commercials and 90s local commercials.
it's just always, your paper currency has no value. So we are happily going to give you our valuable silver and gold in exchange for your worthless paper currency. Well, if it's so valuable, why the fuck are you selling me yours for, dick? Why do you want my worthless paper currency for your valuable stuff? Because it's all around.
Yeah, but then you add the echoey, like it sounded like you were in a concrete room in the background. That was like perfect.
Dad and I were joking one time about making a spoof series of Glenn Beck commercials, and you go from that to the Liberty safes and how you got to have your MREs and all that crazy shit. Because
I've got a few of those.
MREs or Liberty safes?
No, I got the bucket of 15 days, actually 30-day supply for one person of emergency food stores, the Ready Wise.
When I worked at Stan Haney, one of the sponsors gave us a water purification kit and a mobile pack. I got that in my closet.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
A little life straw or something.
I didn't look in it.
I remember when it used to be iodine tablets.
The key to having emergency equipment and bug out bags is not to keep up on it, not to look in it, not to inspect anything. Just find it and throw it in the closet.
Can you say that word again?
What's that?
Emergency.
Emergency.
Okay.
Kind of like that pill, emergency.
Okay. Picking on my brother again.
Mike, you have anything left on your list of shit?
I think that just about wraps it up for me tonight.
That's about wraps it up for everybody tonight. We want to thank you guys for hanging out for another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. And as we said before, please head over to our website at whatsinyourhead.com or d-410.com, and you can check out all the rest of the podcasts on the network, including Mike's Tackle Your Personal Best podcast, the Fail to Fail podcast, the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, and all of our YouTube content. Thank you guys so much. If you want to see my dad's house, you want to see my fence come back together, or in a few days, you can watch Mike catch 6 bass while I catch none. Head over to youtube.com and click on the Digital 410 and like, subscribe, and share us with a friend. And we could definitely use the views. But until then, I want to thank each and every one of you, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.